Welcome. Hi, this is Carol from Skill Check. And today we're going to be talking about improving security at our storage properties. And I brought in Lauren from Storage Defender, and she's going to talk to us about, what's new and what their technology is. And it's pretty exciting. And I'm really interested to share this with you. So, Lauren, can you tell us just a little bit about what you all do and your product?
Yeah, thanks. Happy to be here, Carol. So you can see on our main screen here, our company, we're called Storage Defender, and we specialize in smart units as a service. So essentially what that is we have defined smart units as bringing the smart home technology experience to the self-storage space. And basically what that is we create connectivity between tenants and their units. And we do that through a subscription-based service with a simple texting service. How would you like to have the same smart modern technology in your storage unit that you have at home? Storage Defender Smart Units, you get instant text notifications to your phone whenever your unit is accessed. We're your personal superhero, guarding your valuables 24/7, giving you peace of mind. We've really simplified it, and I can't wait to show you how it works because it's just going to be, it's going to kind of come all together for you
Yeah.
once I show you how the simplicity of it works.
Yeah, another side of this is I was on a call because I do some sales training for a call center. And so I was listening to a call and this customer had called in and said, hey, the outside door, not it was in a hallway, the storage space was in a hallway. So the outside door that normally was locked, it wasn't the something was wrong with the door and it wasn't locking properly. And so the customer was so mad. She goes, anybody could get in that door. Well, and then I said to the agent, make sure, well, she knows that is her door locked and is her door okay? And she asked, and the lady said, yes, my door's good, but the other door's not. So she was all wound up about that, right? And if they had this technology, she would know if her door was ever opened, right? And it would give her an automatic, and a sense of security and feeling like just, things were going to be okay, and she would be notified if something was going wrong. But she felt like,
Yeah,
boy, that outside door was going to cause a big problem, but not, more technology is only going to be, benefit any storage property, right?
yeah, absolutely. And really just connecting that experience of, adding more layers of security to the whole experience. I mean, bringing that individual unit monitoring as
Right.
opposed to just kind of looking at it as a whole, and then also engaging the customer too, because the customer wants to know. I mean, they're putting their life's possessions into these storage
Mhm.
units, and it is kind of a funny business that we're in, that we take all of our life's possessions and put it into a storage unit and put it somewhere remotely. And, up until this point, no one's ever really thought about the fact that, like, oh, once I put it in there, I don't really know, I don't have any sense of control over what's happening. I don't
Right.
know when the door is being opened or if anybody's inside. And so now we're really kind of changing the space that way by bringing that awareness to the tenants.
Yes, and we may have that technology, internally at the storage property if we have door alarms or something like that. But still, even when those, I've had door alarms before. Sometimes they don't always work. Sometimes people can, mess with them where they don't, from the outside, and then they don't work. The contacts don't work, and so this being inside the space, and as soon as the door's up or opened, it's going to let you know that's another layer of security that I think that a lot of customers would be appreciative of. And I think the other thing that makes this so unique is there's no real wiring, right, for the
Mhm.
owner. So it's just sticking it up into the unit where, you don't, like, if you have individual door alarms, you have to plan that from the get-go. And to try to retrofit a storage property with door alarms, it's so expensive. It's hardly worth it. And yours is so much more, less expensive, so you could easily get that into, your units really easily. So
Yeah,
pretty
and I
exciting.
mean, it's disruptive to the space too if you've got to do all of that wiring or if you need to
Yeah.
change anything on the doors and add all of this extra infrastructure into the space. We've got a lot of properties out there right now that are at 96% occupancy, so it can be more disruptive to the tenants. Whereas with this being battery operated, it's super easy to add
Right.
organically into the unit.
Yes. And they're notified when the battery gets low.
Yeah, but that's not
Like that.
really an issue for us because our battery life on these is actually 10 years, is spec'd
Yep.
out to that. So,
Yes.
for the life of any particular tenant, it shouldn't be running out. I mean, I'm sure you actually have stories of people who have been in their units longer than
Oh,
10 years,
yes.
but the
Yes.
average lease length is usually around anywhere from like 13 months or so. So,
Yes.
for
That's
those
that's
majority of
interesting because there are, in fact, I was in a storage property one day when this tenant came in, she was moving out, and she had been there like 14 years, something like that. And she goes, I don't, the stuff that's even in there could not possibly be worth what it is. She goes, well, what's the total?
tenants.
Let's add that up. And it was like 30 something thousand dollars
But
she
she
had
paid just to
paid.
keep it there.
Yes. And she said,
Yeah.
the stuff in there is probably not even worth $1,000.
Yeah, it's crazy the stuff that people will store that,
Yes.
you would think if they just sold it, they would make a lot more money off of how much more
There's
that they're
just
paying
the
just to keep it
Yeah,
there.
we hope in the storage business that's not going to happen because people want their stuff. I don't know. It's just an odd thing. But we, as Americans, especially. But I think the I've been to Australia and other places where storage is becoming more popular. Well, for sure, Australia has been for quite some time, and they have a lot of demand too. But there are other countries that they maybe don't keep as much as we do. A
Yeah,
lot of
I
people.
think we're probably the largest consumers out
Yes.
of all the countries.
Yes.
But no, you mentioned, the importance of having the sensor inside the unit. I actually, and this is really common that we see, but I read another story about a customer that was in a storage facility in Canada that she had put her stuff in the storage. It was right around the time that COVID started, and couple months later, she went to go back and check on it, and she had some really sentimental items there, and some artwork that she had done, and probably some things that were pretty valuable. And she went back there a couple months later, and there was no evidence of like a lock cut or
Wow.
any damage to the unit, and all of her stuff was completely missing. So there are ways that these thieves are creative that they can get into the
Right.
units outside of just the front door. So that's why we really focused on the interior of the unit, especially
Yeah.
because like these new climate control properties where people generally store these high value items, we got called in because there was a facility that they were running their business out of their unit, and they had a lot of leather goods, and it was probably somebody found out that they had these high value items in
Mhm.
there and climbed up the walls into the unit and took them out of the top because it just has that chicken wire on the top,
Right.
so you could actually see the footprints of them climbing over and
Yep.
prying back the chicken wire and climbing stuff back out of the unit. So
Mm.
the door isn't the only line of defense there
That's
because
true.
these thieves are pretty creative.
Yes. I've been had them. One of my clients, they were right along a railroad, and they had taken an old railroad tie, and they had cement block, but they kept ramming that tie against the backside of this, it's all cinder block, and they put a hole through it, and they got it open wide enough that they could get in, and then started passing stuff out. But I'm thinking, okay, they knew what was in there because they didn't
Yeah.
do it to all those storage spaces. So I'm thinking, that's a little weird. That's, to me, that somebody knew what was in there. So that was an odd one.
Well, and then you hear about the tunnelers too with the
Oh
drive
yeah.
up units.
Yeah, yeah.
Where, from the outside, it looks like it's completely fine. Then all of a sudden somebody opens up a unit and there's a tunnel through all the
Yeah.
walls there.
All the walls, yeah. There's another years ago, there was we used to have Porvine doors. It's a brand name. But it's older. But anyway, you could put a car jack underneath the door
Hmm.
just a little bit and pop it up, and then it would just lift right up, and the lock would stay on. So it just popped it out of the holes that they were in, but this
Oh.
old the door system. And so I was called out. The customer said, "Hey, my stuff is in the manager's apartment. We absolutely know it's there." And I'm thinking, how is that even possible? And why? First off, why would the managers want stuff that from from the units? And one was a rocker, and I thought, a rocker? Why would they want and take something like that out and put it in their apartment? But the customer could see it because they could see in their apartment because they would leave the door
Hmm.
open. She said, "I see my mother's rocker in there," and that's exactly what was stolen. And so, and I know that this is kind of a little strange, but they also, she said some tennis shoes were stolen. I'm thinking tennis shoes in a rocker. That just is. So I went out and I staked out the place, and so I waited, and it was like 1 in the morning because I knew that it was we thought it was happening at night, and I'm thinking, okay, how long am I going to wait here? So I'm in my rental car just waiting, and so then my manager comes out. And he has a flashlight and he's got a jack, and it was right on that main entry that I could see. And he just popped it underneath there and popped it open and was going through stuff. And I was like,
Wow.
oh my gosh, those people were right. And
I
had we had this technology then, it would have set an alarm off for the customer. And then they could have said, hey, I absolutely know this was opened at this particular time. And that would have been great technology. But and I do think we have to be proactive in self-storage and trying to help our customers feel more comfortable. And,
mhm.
and to be able to say, yes, some of these things can happen, but even have this defense in there. And yes, nobody wants to get a page saying, yeah, it's open. But you would rather have that and call the storage place, say, hey, somebody's in my space. Can you go over there and check? Because I'm assuming that's what a customer would do. Besides, especially if they weren't able to run down themselves to do that. But I
Exactly,
think
yeah.
it's a great thing to have, to be able to say you can always, have this technology, and the manager can respond. If something happens, call us and let us know, and we're over there right away. Because I'm assuming it's only, telling the customer, not the storage property, that there's a problem. That's true?
So the way that we work is our escalation, we basically send it to the customer first, and then once the customer receives a text message, if they say respond no, it wasn't them in their unit, then it gets escalated to the facility level, and the facility actually gets a robocall, and it
Good.
populates as unauthorized access on their dashboard. So
That's awesome.
yeah, so we put it customer first,
Hmm.
but the customer also has the ability to alert the facility immediately through a couple of different channels there. We give them the facility phone number in the text message to call if they have any questions, and then we also automatically alert the facility, and then all this happens in a matter of a couple seconds. So,
Yes.
I mean, and two, you saying the customer knowing if something's going to happen right away, it really helps protect the other customers as well,
Yes.
because a lot of times these thefts, it's people that are breaking into multiple units. So if you've
Right.
got one customer that's going to alert the facility immediately, they could potentially protect some other
The
customers
others.
that could be
That's true.
affected at the same time.
Yes. And it's interesting because over the years, I've had a lot of break-ins. We tend to, if we see things like, there was a certain one on each row that they kind of, that they were looking for something. They knew that someone was storing something in particular, but they didn't know which
Hmm.
row it was on. So it would be like the middle one or the end one or whatever it was on each row that was broken into. And I'm like, okay, they're looking for something. And then we were trying to figure out, okay, well, which ones do we think they did first or next? Or it was because some of them, they didn't take anything. As soon as they got a look at it, they went to the next one.
Yeah,
So,
and we
but
see that pretty often too with these multi-unit break-ins.
yeah,
Because you were mentioning the car jack, I saw one that it was somebody that jacked up the bottom of the unit, and they must have had experience with the kind of doors that you were talking about,
yeah,
because this particular one, they just kind of pried it up enough to
yep,
crawl in. But
yes,
you're talking about the other doors, they must have had that success with the other doors before being
yes,
able to pop it open. So they were hoping that that was going to be the same case with these doors.
yeah. And crooks do talk to each other. They learn, and they move in to do things. We've had a really big run on theft of catalytic converters, like people just storing, especially cars and things like that, in storage, and in the exterior storage also. But people like to, once they know what to do or what to look for or what to get, they just go after it. So I think that that's the same in self-storage. We've had problems that if it's easy to get into, or if they know there's no protection, that you're more vulnerable. And I think if the store is advertising that they have this smart technology in every unit, it's going to be a huge factor of whether people even try to steal stuff from your storage property. It makes a big difference for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, it really helps the storage facility too, in the sense that, like you said, once they figure out that there's these weaknesses, I've been hearing a lot about theft increasing, and as a result of that, obviously there's a lot more claims increases too. So for the facility owner to be able to prevent that from happening, it's also, you know, going to be reducing their claims as well too if the thieves are avoiding their property because they know that they have this protection there.
Right. Because even if you have door alarms or whatever you have, they're, you know, the people want to get into it and they're going to try to get into it one way or another. But my problem, even with my door alarms in the past, was the door alarm would go off and the managers aren't there. And we had no other way. We weren't monitoring them and, you know, having them monitored by a service. So if my managers weren't there, then they didn't know that it went off. So this going right to the consumer, I think it gets around some of the problems we've had in the past.
I do want to show you real quick because we were talking about the device, it being battery powered, just how easy it is to install. So I have a little video I can show you there.
So installing Storage Defender is magical. Why don't we watch how it's done? So as quickly as opening the door, puts it into the grabber pole, and then attached right to the top. Units have different kinds of beams across and strapping. Well done.
She takes the device that we've got here and she puts it in the grabber pole and sticks it up on the unit. So it's literally less than 30 seconds that we can go and we can retrofit a unit. What I wanted to show you here on the dashboard. So yeah, this is our back-end facility dashboard. And so this is one of the facilities we have. They've got 98 smart units activated right now. And what I was going to tell you is because of the fact that we're a cloud-based system, you can really monitor this from anywhere. You can pull it up on any one of your computers and it's going to show you how many authorized and unauthorized accesses you have on the property. Like I said, we also have the robocall alert for the facility. And then, you know, you also have the ability to pull it up on your cell phone as well through, you know, a mobile web browser and monitor it from there. So really that gives you the flexibility that no matter where you are, you can still have that connectivity to the property. So it's not dependent on somebody being physically there.
Yes, and just no matter what in our society, theft is just becoming more and more of, you know, a reality for all of us. Doesn't matter whether it's your home or where it is. It just seems like we need to make sure that we're trying to do the best we can to have great security everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
The honor system doesn't work anymore. Yeah.
So yeah, what I wanted to show you on here, Carol. So I'm gonna do a little demo for you. So I just want to show you how quick and easy it is to get somebody set up on the system because you mentioned you're a 90-year-old mother, and you know, I wanted to show you how easy it is just for people to get started using it, and also how fast the text response is. So basically, when we add somebody in here, all I need is a first name, last name, and a cell phone number. All right, so I'm going to send you out a demo text there, and then you should get.
Oh, I got it. That was fast.
So yeah, within seconds, I got your name and your phone number, and now you're already set up on the system. So
was
yeah,
that
so
you? Reply yes or no. That is
so
amazing.
You can reply yes or no. It's just a simple text message. All you need to do is type yes or no. And that's literally all it takes to get somebody started using the system. So anybody that can use their phone and knows how to text yes or no is able to use the technology. So that's what we think super special about it.
Oh, and I got another message saying that because I said it was me. So I said, it says alert cleared. Thank you for trying Storage Defender. Please visit us. That's awesome.
And then you can also hit no as well too. So it's a two-way text communication.
Yes. I figured I better say me. It's me. Yeah, this is just great technology. You know, I love bringing things like that to our listeners for YouTube because people are looking for things that they can do differently and can set them apart from other storage properties. And especially if you've got a market that's maybe you have an older property and you're sitting back saying, you know, what can we do different? And this is something they can install even after, all construction is done. It's easy to put inside the unit. And I think especially if you have some kind of security concerns and things going on at the property, this would be a perfect solution that you could do without having any major renovations at the store.
And that's what's really nice about it too. I actually got a call a couple weeks ago from one of the partner facilities that we work with, and it was right before Thanksgiving. They had a couple of units that were broken into at one of their properties, and they called me and they were like, "Hey, we know you guys have this. We want to add it into the property. Like, how soon can you get out here?" And what's nice
Awesome.
about it is because it's so easy for us to go set it up, we can go out to a property and get it set up within a couple hours. We were like, all right, we'll be right out there. We'll get you guys set up. And then they have a response to what happened, and they can offer it to the tenants that were affected as well, and kind of instantly upgrade the property with the system.
Yes. That's maybe the hard part of some of this is because if, let's just say you're building new, it's you can install it right then and it's ready to go, like when you've got a new property. But when let's say you have an older property, it's sometimes hard to get people down there to actually even open the unit to put the device in. I can just tell you, because I've tried to, even saying, okay, we'll change your light bulb out. And it takes us a month to figure out how to do that. So it might take a little bit of time, but I would just set up like an Excel spreadsheet or something, and keep it going to you, made it happen in every single unit. And I just don't think it would take that. I think it'd take a few months on some customers. Some customers might be quick, but you might have a few months that you would have a few stragglers. But if anything happened during that time, it would be boy on them, because they sure didn't, do what they were supposed to do when you asked them to. So.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the things too that you can say, hey, we offered this to you guys and you declined it. So, we had this system available that could have helped you. It's something that you could do. But yeah, talking about converting all of the units, that's one of the things that we've done. And what's nice about it being wireless, again, like we said, is you can really upgrade the facility kind of organically. I have a owner that I worked with that they were 96% occupied when we started with them. And what we did is we brought in the technology, and they basically increased the price of the units. They designated smart units for the units that they had available. And then as they had move outs, they went and they put the device in and they converted the units. And then they also were able to use that to raise their rates too. So
Yes.
we really
That is
worked with
absolutely what I would do. I'd be raising. I would just make sure that this is easy to pay for, because all you need is a few months of rent to be able to say, okay, now we paid for all of that upgrade, and it's an upgrade that you don't have to have wired or electrical anything other than just popping it up inside the unit. But I find that if we have customers or have situations where you have concerns about security, this is a no-brainer to me. It would be really easy to get installed and get going and quickly, which is really hard normally.
So yeah, talking about security, obviously that's one of the things that we do. And obviously security is a great value proposition, but also what we've really been seeing too, aside from just the security aspect of things, is that it's really it's really a value for the customer experience at some of these Class A higher end properties that we're working with, because customers are really desiring that same connectivity, the smart home experience. And even these newer properties, they go in and they're like, hey, this property, they've got these smart units and this is, the high-tech system. They've got the high-tech system. Our property is the best because we're offering this. And then they're actually willing to pay extra for that. And it's really kind of an instant gratification for the tenants too, with the experience that every time they walk into their unit, they get that text message.
Right.
So they walk in, they get the text message, it's instant gratification, they feel good. Yes, I know my unit is being monitored because I know that every time I go in, I'm getting that text message.
Yes.
Whereas, with the door alarm, sometimes you don't necessarily get that feedback because it's disabled when you go inside the unit. Right. So,
it is a tougher sell with the door alarms because they can't see them. And anything that you can see and interact with, it's working. For us, like on the storage end, we see that people go in and out on our software, but the customer never sees it. So I can see how yours is a benefit, because the customer actually has touch with the customer touch with the technology.
Yeah, and so that's what really important for us for the customer experience and also driving those premium rates. So what we're seeing on average across all of the partner properties that we're working with is they're willing to pay anywhere from an extra $10 to $12 a month for it. And we have a couple different ways that facilities do that. Like I said, some of them, they want to convert the entire facility, so they just do rate increases. And others, they offer it as like an optional service to the tenant. So they're charging an extra $12 monthly recurring charge for it. So what's nice about that is, you know, we're really using it as a way for facility owners. And obviously, we're protecting the tenant and we're adding the extra value for the tenant, but for the owners as well, this is allowing them to bring in a new profit center that they can earn an additional monthly recurring revenue off of the service from the tenant. So, you know, as opposed to right now, the only other kind of recurring revenue stream for facilities is insurance, that you're getting those monthly premiums every month if you're selling it. Whereas, you know, other retail products, it's a one-time sell. So for them, with the tenants subscribing to the service, you can get an additional $12 monthly recurring revenue out of each unit, which really adds up. I have a little typical facility added on here, but this is just an example of a facility that, let's say, you know, like the last slide, we said that 33% of customers, or 1 out of every 3 customers, willing to pay an extra premium for it. So if just 33% of their move-ins and they had 14 subscribers added in the first month, then they're paying them a $12 subscription premium. By the 12th month, after they've organically added all of these tenants, they're earning an additional $2,016 a month. So it's really a nice value add for the facility as well. Yeah, and so right now, especially, you know, we're really driving that value add for owners as well too. So as you can see on this one, this is kind of, we looked at the same property. Now we're kind of diving into the financials of looking at the impact that we can have on your net operating income by adding this extra value to your facility. And so, you know, we're doing a 4% revenue increase, a 3% NOI increase after just that first year of organically adding it as an optional service. And, you know, with the 5% cap rates that we're seeing being pretty common right now, that's after just 1 year, $200,000, you know, over $200,000 increase of value. And
that's awesome.
And with that too, that's with us doing it as a subscription service for them. So it doesn't cost the owner anything. They don't have to buy the equipment from us. We're providing the equipment to them, and you know, they're able to increase the value of their property $200,000 without making the investment in the equipment. So it's a really great value add. You were talking about just standing out from the property as a differentiator as well too. So part of what we do is we provide a marketing package to our owners. So you can see here, I love this big sign that we do, because if you think about relating it to the home security space, you know, when you get a home security system, a lot of times, like for your ring, you probably have a sticker that goes outside your house, or you might have a door, a sign that goes in your front yard saying protected by. And so this is kind of what we're doing with our big sign here, is saying, hey, this facility is protected by Storage Defender. So, you know, you might want to go somewhere else if you want to, if you're thinking about breaking into units. And talking about just differentiating your facility as well too, because, you know, security is one of the top 3 concerns for tenants. So one of the other things that we do is we work with the owner and the web provider to market the service on their website. So it's not only providing additional value for them too. As you can see with this particular one, they've added a $10 premium for the smart units, but it's also, you know, when the tenants come to your website, since right now, you know, whenever shoppers are looking for storage units, they're going to go to your website, they're going to be comparing pricing, they're comparing features. So being able to go to this website and see that they have this technology and you're offering all these additional features at your property to protect them really helps the facility stand out.
Yes.
You know, we're bringing that profit center into the space with a 2-prong approach. So obviously the tenant insurance is a known profit center in this space, and generally, you know, you're going to add a couple $100 of facility value per unit. And now we're bringing the smart technology into the space with our smart units to provide extra security for the tenants, and then we can also add an extra $100 of value per unit with each system that we add.
Yeah. Hey, Lauren, can you tell us how customers can get a hold of you and to get more information?
Sure. So you can contact me at my email is lauren@storagedefender.com. You can also go to our website, www.storage-defender.com. And you can also find me on LinkedIn.
Good. Yay. Well, and if they can't find you, they can find me and I'll help them get to you. How's that?
Absolutely.
We'll get them one way
Appreciate
or another. But I'm so glad you shared this with us because sometimes we get new things going on in self-storage. But if storage owners have a store going already, they think, oh, it's not that big a deal. But now things are, I think the industry's going well right now, but we also have a lot of competitors. And if we can have one or two little things that are better and that make us better and something reasonable and easy to install and makes a customer feel a little bit better, then I think that's what we should do. So I think it's a great idea.
I got to leave you with one last story then, since you said that. I actually got a call the other day from a storage owner that they called me and always asked people like, how did you hear about us? And, how did you find me? And they said, well, we have this new facility and we've been open for, a year and a half now. We're pretty highly occupied. We leased up real fast. We were at 96% and we just did rate increases and we had a bunch of move outs and, we dropped down to like 82%.
Yeah.
And, when the tenants were moving out, we asked them, what's your reason for moving out? And one of them that we talked to said, well, we found a property down the street that they had Storage Defender. And, I decided that facility was a better value for us because you raised my rate and I was getting more at this other property.
Right.
So, we
it does
are
make a difference. Yeah.
just adding, any extra value that you can provide to your tenant, especially for security, because it's such a major concern for them. Obviously, they want to know that their things are protected, is really going to help you stand out.
Yes. I will say I have done this many times over the years, but if I do some upgrade at the store like this, putting in this kind of stuff, I would absolutely do a rent increase at the same time and just say, by the way, and this is how you connect with it and, to help people feel that like, if there is an increase, at least it's for a good reason.
Yeah, absolutely. And being able to communicate that value to the tenant is key.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for the time today and, showing us something new and innovative and amazing. So, and please get in touch with us. And again, you can always reach me at carol@skillcheck.com and with our 1-800 number also. But and happy renting. We hope you enjoy this webinar and have a great day. Thanks a lot. And thank you, Lauren.
Thanks for having me, Carol.